All right, joining us right now to discuss what we could expect from this trial is former Trump campaign aide and author of the book Wicked Game, Rick Gage. Rick, good to see you. You know, Christina did a nice job of laying out some of the details there in that story, which people have heard, the Durham report, the Durham investigation, but this kind of puts it in context. With this exception, when we're talking about what Sussman is charged with, it strikes me this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a much bigger story that goes along with it, right?
Absolutely. John Durham's done a very good job of starting at the ground floor, and he's starting to link and connect a number of various players that are inside both government and externally within the Clinton campaign. So when you see names like Igor Danchenko, Chuck Nolan, and then they tie into Christopher Steele, who goes back to Fiona Hill and Jake Sullivan, all of a sudden you can see why John Durham is saying this is a joint venture, because there was absolutely a concerted effort by multiple parties inside and outside of government to attempt to bring Donald Trump down by linking him to Russia. But now what we're seeing is the opposite, in that John Durham has done a great job of pulling this information out. It's a lot of moving pieces, no question about it. But at the end of the day, he's starting at the ground level and working his way up. How high he goes, we ultimately don't know. But there are a lot of people that believe that Hillary Clinton was, personally involved in this.
I want to get your reaction to former Congressman Devin Nunes, who had this to say over the weekend about the trial. These documents that they clearly hid from Congress, if I were still there, we would have more criminal referrals to Durham based on lying and misleading Congress. What's your take there?
But Devin's absolutely right. I mean, look, he tried to pull as much information out as he could, and a lot of these documents remain classified. Even when President Trump was leaving office, he declassified 2,000 documents, and yet some of those we still haven't seen yet. That is because there are people inside of government that don't want this exposure out there, people inside that have been working with Hillary Clinton's campaign, people that had worked previously for her in past administrations. So the goal here is to get all this information out, and the more that we learn, like examples that Devin Nunes cited, that he didn't, as a member of Congress, the ranking member, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, who didn't have access to that information, that is a big red flag inside our government, and we need to bring transparency and then also bring accountability to the people that prevented this information from getting out.
What do you think we will find in this trial, or what is it we should be looking for to find out from this trial?
Absolutely. I think you need to start looking at the other players that Michael Sussman came in contact with, how deep his reach was both inside of government and inside the Hillary Clinton campaign. Remember, a lot of Clinton's advisors at the time of her campaign are now working for Joe Biden inside the U.S. government. So there's a lot of question about their ability to be in conflict with a lot of this information. And as this goes on, remember, this is just stage one. You're going to see names like Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein, even James Comey and John Brennan all played a role in this. Whether it was willing, deliberate, or accidental, that's exactly what John Durham's investigating. I'll say one thing I just picked up from a source inside the courtroom. Jury selection, which is going on today for John Durham, has been a little bit frustrating. Already, they've discovered that about 25% of the juror pool either contributed to Hillary Clinton or the DNC in 2016
wow.
or voted for her in that election. So,
and where is this? Is this in D.C. that they're doing this?
Yep, exactly. It's in D.C.
Yeah, well, there's your answer right there.
Fair trial, right? And look, I think this is important for the people to understand. This is where, the idea of seeking truth and justice is kind of lost on the idea of legal process and procedures. And even the judge has already suppressed information that should just be out there. Let the facts get out. Let the people decide. But instead, you're going to see a lot of people covering, look, you cannot break the law to enforce the law. And that's what a lot of people inside of government have done all the way through the Mueller probe. And I hope Durham exposes it and nothing else gets it out in some sort of report or fashion that the American people can see.
Right. Rick, do we know where Hillary Clinton is on all this as the jury selection is moving on and this is actually coming to light?
Yeah, interesting. She's gone very quiet. We've been paying attention, and she had a little bluster going into this. Her lawyers tried to suppress some of the evidence related to the campaign. If you also remember, the FEC fined her campaign and the DNC, which is a little precursor to this trial. So I'd expect that she's not going to come out very boldly and very loudly. And I think she's going to wait to see what happens, because this is going to be important. If Durham can get a conviction on Sussman, I think the floodgates are going to open and you're going to see a lot more trials and people implicated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Rick Gates, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Great to see you guys. Take care.